Hello, everybody. Welcome to Savaging Studios. I'm your host, Ink, and today is another Seven Deadly Sins sketch. But before we hop into that, I just want to say thank you so much to Cat Animatic 64 for this amazing piece of fan art here. It is so cute. She's another YouTuber here. I'll have a link to her profile in the comments section below. Definitely check her out. Clearly, her work is super adorable, and thank you so much. I absolutely love it. Alright, so for this Seven Deadly Sins challenge, sketch, thing, greed. Um, so not to like choo 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 my own horn or anything, but I'm not really a greedy person, I guess. I'm actually kind of super ridiculously low maintenance. Like if I have a roof over my head and food in my belly and a way to get to work, I'm a happy camper, and I make sure that I can supply those own things to myself. I don't expect those things from anybody else. So, unfortunately, I don't have a story to give you guys about that one time that I was super greedy and it absolutely fell back on me and made me realize the error of my ways. I have a ton of those stories, but not referring to greed, just me making bad choices and those bad choices kicking me in the ass. But today is not one of them. I'm sorry, you guys. So today's greed story, I guess, is going to be about the job that I worked at for the least amount of time ever because this corporation was so super greedy that I honestly don't even know how they have employees there still. It's ridiculous. Alright, so I was I had was looking for another job because the place that I was working at, I wasn't getting enough hours, and when I had been hired, I'd been guaranteed a certain amount of hours. I'm very, very serious about that. Like I said before, I pay for my own stuff, you know. I my bills are covered because I work all the time. And when I'm looking for a job, I tell people up front, I know that we're both trying to sell each other on, I'm trying to sell you on me, and you're trying to sell me this job, basically, but, please don't lie to me. I'm going to be totally honest with you about my work capability and what I can do for you guys, and I need you guys to be honest with me about how many hours you can offer me so I know if I'll be able to survive on this job. So this job, I was guaranteed enough hours to, sort of make it through. Um, so I took the job, and then after working there, they hired a ton more people, and those hours dropped, and everyone who worked there was not. If you made over 10 hours at that point, you were lucky. And obviously, I can't live off of 10 hours a week. And they're not willing to work with other jobs as far as your availability. So I started looking for another job. Um, my boyfriend Jude was like, "Oh, hey, what about this?" And from the get go, when I looked at it, it seemed, legitimate. It was factory work, which my assumption automatically is, oh, factory work, that's hard physical labor and grueling hours, and it probably pays a lot of money because from every person I've ever known who's worked a factory job, between $16 and $22 an hour is what these people make because it is hard labor, grueling hours, and it's pretty unforgiving work. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I totally don't mind, trashing my body a little bit, but if I will be making as much as most factory workers make, then super, I totally worth it. So I was an idiot, and after I did a wow, I can't even think of the word where you sit in front of a person and then try and sell yourself to this person to get them to hire you a job. Interview. Yes, okay. So I sort of had an interview at this factory place, but it was incredibly brief. I apparently Jude had known someone who might be able to help me get the job. So I went in and I asked them, like, oh, I'm here about this job. And they're like, oh, you're good. You just have to, background test, drug test, and then you're fine. And I'm like, wait, so no interview? And they're like, nope, you're just hired as soon as this stuff goes through. Here's where you hand it in, whatever. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. I should have seen that as a red flag. I should have insisted on talking to somebody, but I was just excited to be able to work a job that, within the description, said that it was 40 hours a week. So I put in my 2 weeks at my other job, and I started this factory place. First things first, not $16 to $22 an hour. I was literally making minimum wage. Literally making minimum wage to absolutely destroy my body, heavy lifting and repetitive motions, and not worth it. I'm one of those people where one of the reasons, attributing I guess to my non-greediness, I'm not a wanty person. I don't need a lot of stuff, because when I go out to go shopping for things, I kind of have a weird habit of calculating, oh, this thing is $20. If I'm making $10 an hour, that means this thing costs 2 hours of my life. Is this thing worth 2 hours of my life? So, yes, I very much expect that the work that I'm doing is going to pay me accurately for what I am doing. If I'm sitting at a desk answering phone calls all day, I expect to make minimum wage, because it takes zero effort. Unless of course I have to do an insane amount of research to be able to help these people. But if it's basically just hold please and sending them to someone else, I would expect minimum wage for that job, because it takes no brain power and no physical effort, and it's an easy job. But physical manual labor, a lot like construction, which I've also done, you expect to get paid more, because you are working harder and there are lasting effects on your body if you continue to do it for a long period of time. So, on top of getting paid minimum wage, they were true about the hours. It was 40 hours a week. And by a week in, I never, ever, ever wanted to go back. I really didn't. It was god awful terrible. So, on top of that, I think during that week I figured out how it was that they had so many people employed with no benefits, minimum wage, crazy hours, because the shifts, I got an easy shift because I got into this job through someone higher up on the chain. But some of these people were doing overnight shifts, which you should automatically get paid more to do, because it messes up your sleep schedule. But anyway, one of the things that I realized about why it was that they were able to have so many people working there, no matter which station I got put at on a daily basis, I was literally the only single person at that table who could speak English. This is not me being like a racist douchebag, but I think that if you're working in a place where none of your coworkers are even capable of speaking English, I think that you can assume that the likelihood that they are all here legally is super less likely. And honestly, I really do think that like hiring people who are here illegally to do really, really hard work for minimum pay is like a crappy thing to do, because you know that they're going to take any job that they can get, as long as they're, not going to get, checked, or however that works. Like, you're taking advantage of people by making them do ridiculously hard work for extremely not enough pay. And I think that that's messed up. Now, whether or not I think that people should be here illegally is not a can of worms I'm ready to open right now. I'm not educated enough on the topic to have a proper opinion about it. All I can say is that it is not fair for a company to look at people who they know are in a position where they will do anything that you ask them and they will not complain about what they're getting paid, and use that to make people do really hard work for next to no pay. Isn't fair. And as a person who, can find jobs rather easily, I was able to get out of that. But knowing that there are hundreds of people there who are not going to get a raise, who are doing this to their bodies, is really, really sad. And of the few people that I met in the entire place, because during their lunch break, everyone leaves their stations and goes to a cafeteria. Of the very few people that I met who could speak English, and there were literally only a handful, it I felt bad for them too, but it seemed as though the reason that they couldn't find a job anywhere else was kind of things that they had done to themselves, like people with tattoos all over their face. Keep in mind, you guys have seen my drawing videos. If you're familiar with my channel, I've got a tattoo on my hand, and it is not the only one that I have. But I also think that if you ink up your entire face, finding a job is going to be incredibly difficult, but that's also on you. So if you're stuck working a heavy labor job for next to no money, that at least is, you did this to yourself, like you chose to have tattoos all over your face knowing that you were probably not going to be able to find a good job, and that's unfortunate on your end for bad choices. Or, get a freaking job at a tattoo parlor. At least if they're good tattoos, maybe they won't care. But, yeah, so I was there for, sorry about that, I was there for 2 weeks, and by then I had already put in applications for another job, interviewed, gotten it, and, said thank you, but no thank you, I really don't want to work here anymore. And boy, oh boy, am I glad, because I went into this really wanting this job to work out, hoping it was going to pay a fair wage, and especially not wanting to let down Jude, because, he had opened doors that he didn't necessarily have to open to try and get me this job, thinking it would be good for us, but man, oh man, was it not. So I feel very, very sad for the people who are still working there. And this is a classic case of corporate greed absolutely just freaking abusing people. And it's very, very sad. So, fellas, if you ever run your own business, don't take advantage of people. It's not a nice thing to do, and people are just going to end up resenting you. And, realistically, why? It's... If people were just not assholes, man... Coming from me, one of the biggest assholes I know, but I wouldn't do that to people. I did run a business, and I didn't take advantage of people, So, anyway, I guess that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoy wow, I can't even fucking talk today. There we go. I was trying not to pop the F word. There it went. Alright. I hope you enjoyed my sketch, drawing, digital paint thing. I hope you enjoyed my story. Please feel free to leave your comments, questions, suggestions in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.